Getting introduced to new gems has always been an exciting aspect of Steven Universe. Within the past year alone, we've gotten around 10 new gems, not including the Amethyst, and we've had a few more name dropped. One of these gems, of course, is Lars's rival, and thanks to the wonderful world of shipping, possible love interest, but probably not really, Emerald. And there's actually quite a bit to talk about when it comes to her. So let's dive in today on Crystal Clear. Before we begin, thanks to the sponsor of today's video, Quid. Quid is an exciting app where you can collect digital trading cards, stickers, and Funko Pop toys based off your favorite series, including some Cartoon Network shows, Gumball, Ed, Edd n Eddy, Adventure Time, and of course, Steven Universe. These stickers and cards include your favorite crystal gems, townies, Homeworld gems, and more. They even have cards based off of fan favorite moments in the show. One of my favorite features about this app is that you can utilize all the stickers that you collect in everyday conversation. Why use emojis when you can use your favorite characters? Blowing your collective minds away, I'm sure. More information on Quid later on in the video. Link in the description. Welcome back to Crystal Clear on the Roundtable. I'm AwestruckVox, and when discussing hopes and desires of what to see with other fans of the show, new gems is almost always a talking point. And man, the last 2 seasons has had the Crewniverse up their game when it comes to introducing more and more gems in the world of the show and into the hearts of thousands out there. Just at the start of Season 5 alone, we've gotten 7 new gems, thanks to the Zircons and the Off-Colors. And we're barely at the halfway point for the season. That's absolutely insane. By this season's end, we'll definitely have the most amount of gems introduced in a single run of episodes. No wonder Rebecca Sugar has been so excited for so long in regards to this season. Yet, with all these new gems, we get them so fast, and in the middle of so much in terms of the overarching story, we're left with little to no time to actually explore them. Where do they rank in the hierarchy of Homeworld? What are the tasks and duties they carry out on a daily basis? Since they serve a certain diamond, how does that impact their personality and perception among other gems? These are all very important questions that need answers, because it deepens our understanding of these characters and Homeworld as a whole. When the Crystal Gems face off against a new adversary, it's imperative for us to know the stakes in this conflict. The Ruby Squad wasn't much of a threat because it was established rubies are common soldiers and aren't very bright. Steven was able to con them to play a game of baseball because he knew odds were they weren't competent enough to see through his facade. Rubies not being the sharpest tool in the shed set the atmosphere for many episodes. Hit the Diamond, Back to the Moon, Bubbled, and especially Room for Ruby. In the case of the latter 2 episodes, our perception of the rubies served as a great bait and switch for moments, like Eyeball turning on Steven after he healed her gem. From our previous run-ins with the rubies, I'm sure a good chunk of the show's target demographic expected Eyeball to turn a new leaf, or at least show gratitude for her life being saved. Instead, she drew her weapon and lunged at Steven with intent to kill. Room for Ruby was built up after numerous Ruby Squad appearances, where Navy came off as nice, bubbly, and out of all the rubies, definitely the one that came the closest to a pacifist. Having an entire episode around her being integrated into Earth culture, only for her to not only betray Steven and the Crystal Gems, but reveal she is more or less a sociopath, was a huge bait and switch. I think anyone could have saw Navy betraying them, but the extended execution of it was devilishly out of the left field. You'd think the betrayal would be something like,
I'm really sorry, but my crew really needs their shit back real bad. Please don't be mad at me.
But instead it was,
haha, y'all really fell for the okie doke? Chumps.
Again, a big part of that shock stemmed from the fact that the rubies are such low-level gems that were perceived to have such low IQs. Do gems have IQs? Their gemstones are their, well, everything, so maybe IQ isn't the right term. Yet, rubies are literally called dumb, but we know some are more clever than others, so perhaps? Either way, you know what I mean. Now, on the other hand, let's look at Topaz and Aquamarine. These 2 gems were lurking in the shadows at the end of Dugout and the Good Lars, and made their proper debut in Are You My Dad? And out of all the gem introductions, they definitely made the biggest impact on the audience since Jasper, especially Topaz, whose first true glance at her contains beloved townies trapped in the center of her body. A tad horrifying to say the least. I Am My Mom's opening scene established that these 2 gems are nothing to sneeze at. Pearl states that Blue and Yellow Diamond must have sent them personally. This tells us they, or at least Aquamarine, is a very high-ranking gem, not to knock Topaz. But Aquamarine does so herself in the climax of Are You My Dad? By remarking, I can't believe they wasted an Aquamarine on a job like this. It's so easy you could have done it yourself, Topaz. which tells me that while topazes are heavy-hitting muscle, they're virtually nothing without a proper strategist guiding them. However, we're not sure either way, as the show never elaborates their positions nor ranks among Homeworld. The most we get beyond this is that Aquamarine's memory is perfect, serving as a valuable asset, and Topaz and Stuck Together laments that she's always sent on miserable missions. But considering Homeworld's empire seems to take no breaks, what soldier wouldn't always be on missions? It's as if they only told us these are important gems to the diamonds, so there'd be a little more tension for the viewer whenever they're on screen.
Oh no, the diamonds themselves send Aquamarine and Topaz, so they must mean business. They're nothing to sneeze at.
But then you realize, Yellow Diamond also the rubies, so like, are they a big deal? Are they really? I'm just saying. I'll give Aquamarine credit for successfully roping in Rose Quartz and striking enough fear into Topaz for her to surrender her heel turn on Homeworld, but she may not be all that in a bag of chips. All of that being said, let's talk about Lars of the Stars, and a certain gem that was introduced in that episode, Emerald. As the show exclusively follows Steven's perspective, we're kind of just thrown into the mayhem Lars and the Off-Coders have created, being chased down by Emerald throughout the galaxy for stealing her precious sun incinerator. Yet, they never really touch on Emerald's place among Homeworld. Is she a higher class gem or a lower class gem? Is she rare, common, somewhere in between? Because after everything Lars just pulled, knowing her rank is pretty important. Either way he's in trouble, but just how much trouble? Well, lucky for you, I have an answer. With concrete evidence from the mouth of Rebecca Sugar herself, and what this means for Lars and the future of the series. Recently in the Steven Universe podcast, hosted by a friend of the Roundtable, Mackenzie Atwood, they discussed both episodes that make up the Stranded special. Rebecca Sugar herself and Ian JQ, creator of OKKO and former executive producer of Steven Universe, had this to say.
So what about Emerald? That was pretty cool. Everyone really liked Emerald.
I mean, this is like a major bad guy that's sort of been. It's because it's like one of the major gems. Like I remember Emerald, like really early on. When we talked about other gems we wanted to add, it was like Emerald, we got to save something special for this one.
Yeah, I think Emerald is special because like Peridot was not a high level gem. And Jasper is a decorated gem from Humble Origins.
Yes, exactly.
But Emerald is like a fancy,
high class, decorated,
high ranking, very important gem, which is not the kind of gem we usually deal with. And we deal with the diamonds. I mean, they're the highest ranking gems of all. But Lars really, I think that Lars made many enemies along the way, but then, all of those enemies would have answered to Emerald, where it would just go all the way up.
Emerald drives like a flagship for a fleet, so it's like, Emerald's a really big deal.
Yeah, I wanted to do a big, glitzy enemy.
Wait. The implications of what Sugar Woman just said in this podcast is a lot to take in. But before we tackle that, I need to ramble. And we have a sponsor. Real quick, another thanks to the sponsor of today's video, Quid, the best app for you to collect digital trading cards, stickers, and Funko Pop toys you won't find anywhere else based off your favorite series. This includes beloved animated series such as Gumball, Rick and Morty, The Powerpuff Girls, Bob's Burgers, and Family Guy. How do you rake in all these goodies? Well, there are a fair share of freebies, but you'll mainly be scurrying these bad boys with coins. But don't worry, you get thousands of free coins every few hours just by logging in. That's pretty awesome if you ask me. But be warned, just like any store, these packs can and will sell out. So you better move with the quickness. But if you play your cards right, no pun intended, you can also trade everything you collect with other users on the app. Perhaps somebody has that one thing you're really pining for. Lucky for you, new things are added onto the app every single day. We're also on the app as well. Username is AwestruckVox. Quid is available for iOS and Android. Links in the description. Now let's get back to the video. Okay, so Emerald is a high-ranking gem. One of the most high-ranking gems from the sounds of it. Yet our introduction to her character was comic relief? Don't get me wrong, I know Steven Universe is a kid show. I know its core audience is kids. I understand its comedic elements will always balance out the serious dark tones. Yet, Emerald was the butt of almost every joke in this episode, and she's someone who hails from greatness? I'm not down with that, but you can't change the past. All I'm saying is, it's going to be hard for the audience to take her seriously in the future, which kind of stinks because we should definitely take her seriously. Are you kidding me? You heard the woman. Peridot? Low ranking. Jasper? Yeah, she's rough, she's tough, she's bad to the bone, but ultimately, she's still a gem from Earth. A beta court soldier. Yawn. But Emerald. Oh, Emerald. She's fancy. She's high class. She's high ranking. The fact Emerald is all the way up there when it comes to the ranks of gems Lars may have tangled with, leading up to his role as a Captain Space Pirate, speaks absolute volumes. Lars went toe-to-toe and outsmarted an elite, the best of the best. And what really takes the cake is that he likely doesn't even realize it. She pilots the flagship for a fleet, the Destiny Destroyer. She's the biggest of deals. Again, I'm absolutely dumbfounded that more or less, we've just met a gem all the way at the top. One that's only overshadowed by the diamonds, and the most we got out of it was comic relief. That's just disrespectful, especially considering the fact Rebecca Sugar said in that podcast, we typically don't deal with high-ranking gems. I also want to point out we're actually unaware of Emerald's size in relation to the rest of the gems and Lars. Her only on-screen appearances thus far have been over a screen production, meaning the sky's truly the limit. While I don't think she's anywhere near the size of the diamonds as they are the end-all to be-all, I do think in gem kind, size matters. If soldiers like Amethyst, Jaspers, and Topazes are already pretty huge, and their superiors such as High Blue Agates aren't too far off in height, I think Emerald may actually be pretty massive. I can see her towering over the run-of-the-mill court soldier, sticking out in a crowd, setting fear in her subordinates just by walking into a room. I'd be disappointed if she was the size of a lemon-enhanced Peridot. Make her big! Lars of the Stars obviously isn't the end for Emerald's character. Oh no, it's just the beginning. Having such a high-ranked being, an elite gem, be the one that Lars messes with, spells trouble not just for him, but the off-colors and Steven. Lars clearly doesn't pay much attention to Emerald. After she flees, all he says is that she's on the run. He's not bothered by the prospect of reinforcements. I'm sorry, Lars, but if you thought damaging her ship's cannons was the end to your troubles, you are sorely mistaken. Now, recently on Crystal Clear, I already speculated Emerald's line that she can track down the Sun Incinerator's energy signature would lead to an epic confrontation on Earth, should Lars and the off-colors make the beach city unscathed. Yet, I don't think Emerald will be alone, or even with small numbers. Due to Emerald being an elite gem, and by the sounds of it, having a multitude of gems serve under her, there's two big possibilities I foresee happening when she tracks down her ship onto Earth. One, she invades Beach City with a lot of extra muscle. I'm talking about an entire fleet. Jasper and Peridot's little hand, or Aquamarine's Hershey Kiss, wasn't even a footnote of what's to come. The Sun Incinerator is a very coveted ship, and Lars has shown that a lone flagship and a few citrines isn't enough. Actually, to be exact, Lars and Emerald's banter in the beginning of Lars of the Stars revealed Lars' little shuttle impersonated Imperial officers, stole the incinerator from 67 elite citrines guarding it, and who knows what else. So yeah, one ship, not enough. Emerald's already going to want to bust out the big guns for this, but imagine once she learns Lars is on Earth, where she knows there's rumors of remaining crystal gems residing, that won't be a coincidence to her. That'll come across as a calculated move. I think we're on the verge of seeing the biggest battle yet set in the present day of the series. I'm talking 1 or 2 warships and multiple of new gems. Again, probably citrines, storing Beach City's shore, all to take down and capture Lars. Alternatively, let's say Emerald swallows her pride and decided to go straight to the diamonds following her retreat. I imagine reporting a ship that was stolen by a bunch of off-colors led by someone who can invade Homeworld scanners will already raise an eyebrow. But what will happen once the ship is tracked on Earth, and Yellow Diamond realizes just how many Earth-related antics have spiked in recent years? Also, years are nothing to gems, which will make it seem that more frequent. Peridot runs into crystal gems, checking up on the cluster. Jasper goes missing. The rubies are suddenly thrown into space. Rose Quartz herself pops up on Homeworld and flees her trial. Now this anomaly that can defy Homeworld technology steals a ship and goes back to Earth in the midst of Rose Quartz going missing? A planet that has verified crystal gem activity. That will no longer be a coincidence. The diamonds may think the crystal gems are planning an attack on Homeworld. The Rose Quartz course, turning herself in was 100% intentional. I'll speculate that on another video, but more or less, cluster emerging or not, we could even see Lapis' fears being confirmed and have a new diamond attack on Earth. Considering the bingo chart Cartoon Network posted on social media back in November for season 5 contains events that keep happening and Diamond Attack just happens to be on there, I think we're in for a very fun ride. With how much we've been in space this season, and likely going back into space a few more times before the season's end, having a climactic set piece on Beach City would be phenomenal. Emerald is a force to be reckoned with, and Lars has treated her like a joke. By extension, so has the audience. Yet, she's going to prove to everyone why you should never, under any circumstance, mess with an Emerald. But as always, these are just my thoughts and I'd love to hear yours. How do you feel about Emerald? Is she one of your favorite gems? Do you love or hate her? Let us know what you think in the comments below or tweet them to me at AwestruckVox or at the Roundtable on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at RoundtableVids. We're also on Snapchat at RoundtableYT. If you enjoyed this video, please sort of like, share, and if you're new here, subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications to stay in the loop with all things Steven. Swing by our store and check out our Steven Universe inspired designs. And if you do, thank you. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a beautiful day, and AwestruckVox signing out. Bye everyone.